To the girl who's got everything. I like to think that I could do anything that you ask. Pay no mind to my rusted springs. If you wind me up, you will find me up to the task. So put me to work, give me something to do. I will try so hard for you. Solid cast in the forgotten past. Shine me up, you might find me what you've been looking for. I never quit, and I was built to last. They don't make them like they made me anymore. So put me to work, give me something to do. I will try so hard for you. Don't take me apart, I am not obsolete. I still got a heart, and it's not obsolete. Please don't take me apart. Please don't take me apart. I'm not obsolete. Don't take me apart, I am not obsolete. I still got a heart, and it's not obsolete. Please don't take me apart. Please don't take me apart. I'm not obsolete. Well, I might be stainless, but I'm sure not painless. Please don't take me apart. Please don't take me apart. I'm not obsolete.
Hello, everybody. This is your host, Vinyl Man Jebb, here with Tyler Green, and we're interviewing
Hello.
Eric Bareo today. Eric, are you with us?
I am. How you doing?
Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. And I just want to thank our guests. Last week we had recently Derek Bostrom of the Meat Puppets, Frank Zappa's sister Candy Zappa, and before that we had Eric Dover of Jellyfish and multiple other amazing groups like Slash the Snake Pit. Thank you guys for being on and getting our show a little buzz. And now we're starting this week with Eric, and next episode will be a Day Without Love, so it should be interesting. And then we're going to be taking a break. But Eric's with us today. So Eric, my first question for you to start this interview off: what are your biggest influences in music?
Oh, the biggest influences. Well, I guess it would start with my parents' record collection, which would be, the Beatles for sure. And then, my first infatuation as a young teenager was the Cars. So those were like the first big two, I would say.
I definitely hear the Cars.
But I've circled.
Definitely.
I've circled back and done a lot of like 70s, influences since then. But yeah, Beatles, Cars, and then working backwards mostly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very fun. Speaking of the
Perfect
Cars,
timing.
you recently did the score for a documentary based on the band. Can you talk more about that and what the process behind that was like?
Sure. Yeah. Technically, it was a long time ago that I scored it, but it just came out. It had been sitting dormant for a long time. I went to the screening, I don't know how many years ago, but there was a screening at the HBO headquarters in New York City, sort of near Times Square, which was awesome. I got to go to they have like a movie theater on the top floor of the HBO building. and we got to have the screening there for some reason. But anyway, it's really funny. It's sort of a almost like a mockumentary about the Cars' career. It's sort of like a Spinal Tap version,
Oh, cool.
starring the Cars. So it comes from a place of love. The guy who wrote it, Dave Juskow, was a big Cars fan, and Memo Salazar. And anyway, they reached out to me because they just found me. I think back in the day, I think it was back to MySpace even. And they found me and my band, The Cautions, and they realized, they heard a lot of Cars influences in our music. So they reached out, and one thing led to another, and they asked me to do most of the movie scoring for that. So I'm really excited that I can finally show it to people, because it was basically that screening at HBO, and then like we've been waiting and waiting for it to figure out a release ever since.
And what is the name of this mockumentary, I should say?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's called Turbocharge, the story of the Cars, I believe.
Awesome.
Is the full title, but it's definitely called Turbocharge.
And
It's on Amazon Prime as of now. So,
awesome.
Yep.
Sweet. I'll definitely have to check that out.
And we'll leave a link down below, Eric. If you can send us a link, we'll
Awesome.
pop it down below.
Excellent.
For everybody
Okay.
to check out. Definitely. I went on that Flash website for it, and I guess Google is not going to allow Flash in December, so that website might like the end of December. So I was like checked into actually look at the website, and it had like the snowman from the Rudolph kind of thing, and I liked that. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, they sort of spoofed the what is it, the reindeer claymation, Rudolph. Yeah,
they spoofed that in Elf too. I think it's perfect time of season for it. Because they spoofed that in the movie Elf with Will Ferrell too, with when he's leaving. You actually see the snowman too. Right. I was like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
Hashtag thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
Yes.
That's what happens in the movie, right?
Yeah, of course. As soon as he leaves, you just see the narwhal was popping up. Actually, this is perfect. Move right into my question here. You were in the band The Cautions, and how long are you guys together for, and when did you start? So maybe you start with probably first.
Yeah, I guess we sort of formed it was a long time ago, 1999.
Oh wow!
And we put out and I think we recorded our first album, and it might not have come out till 2001 maybe or 2000. And we basically toured around the Northeast mostly for 5 or 6 years, and then put out a second really long full-length album in 2005 or 6. And then we pretty much stopped playing in about 2006 or 7.
Oh wow!
And then from then on, I started working on more of a solo career for myself. But we didn't really break up or anything. We just sort of stopped playing, and we're all still friends. But
well, that's good to hear.
It just we had a long run of playing local venues, and not really getting to the next point. So, but it was. I am still really proud of the songs we wrote. So.
And speaking of the songwriting process, what's the songwriting process like for you? And what are some of your favorite songs that you've written, either solo or with Cautions? Just pick anything. It's
okay. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I spend like an equal amount of time and energy to make everyone as good as they can be. So I don't know about I'd be hard pressed to say I have a favorite. Some recordings are more listenable to me than others, like as the years go on. But yeah, I really put the same amount of effort into every song. So I went to Berkeley for songwriting. That was sort of my major at Berkeley, and so I have a lot of like tools in my tool belt from my education there, and that's great. And so it's kind of a step-by-step like process in terms of the technical stuff, that what goes into making a great song. I have a lot of like things in my head as I'm writing, but it always comes down to like finding a great story first and foremost, and finding a way to tell a story that is new is the tricky part.
Yeah, that's great. Because one of my favorite bands when it comes to story song, I was actually talking to Jebb about this earlier. We might do a band chat episode on Fountains of Wayne. I think they're a
Oh,
very good storytelling band.
And they're
I've
similar to your
seen it with
sound
the
as well,
Cautions.
which works out
Yeah.
really well too.
yeah. There, we were absolutely fans of Fountains of Wayne,
Brian
especially
Young
in
is
the
pretty cool.
Cautions.
Yeah, I
I'm
heard a
still,
lot. I heard a lot of Fountains of Wayne and the Cautions from what I've already heard.
yeah,
So yeah.
I'm still a huge fan of those guys, very much so. And
Well, yeah,
Look
we're hoping to
Park,
have Brian Young on the
the
show at
new
one
band.
point. I got him added on Facebook. He
Awesome.
just added me back, so hopefully we'll have him up. Brian, if you hear this episode somehow, you're definitely more than welcome to come up. That'd be cool to
You're
talk
really
Fountains of
great
Wayne.
at getting
Hi,
amazing guests,
Brian.
and
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot to live up to today.
It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is definitely. But we have our connections of him. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, was in the Posies for a time too with
Oh yeah, he
Success,
was.
I
The
believe.
Amazing Disgrace era.
Yeah, the Amazing Disgrace era. That's right. So that was really cool to that's our connection to him. So hopefully we'll get through. But that's awesome. Moving on to the yeah, next question. Oops. You just recently had a video release for the song that we played at the beginning of this podcast called Obsolete. If you wanted to go in about the process of getting everybody together for the video release and the process of the song as well, more than welcome to.
Okay, yeah, sure. So that is a song that's it's upbeat. So I guess I do like my more upbeat songs. So if I have a favorite, it's probably going to be the stuff that's up tempo, like Obsolete or On Holiday from my last album. But Obsolete's basically a story about, well, technically it's written about an inanimate object. So I really like old, well-made stuff, particularly from the 50s, that you might find at a yard sale.
Ooh.
That's just so well made that like it still works just as good as the day that you bought it in the 50s. So I had that in mind, but the metaphor is that it's also a song about like aging and still feeling relevant and useful at a later age. So so the story is basically told from the perspective of something old and well made from the 50s, begging not to be thrown away. Maybe a watch, maybe a toy robot, who knows? But that's the gist of what's going on in that song. And yeah, so I set about to make a music video around the Providence, Rhode Island area, and my guitarist and I, Matt Galuli, we both basically bought the same video camera this past year, and we're sort of a little filmmaking duo going about town making sometimes comedy music videos and things. So so we set up a couple of days and we filmed a bunch of scenes around outdoors in Providence, and then we got permission to film in a really cool vintage consignment shop in Pawtucket. And you saw the video. It came out with a little bit of humor. I didn't intend that originally, but
okay.
we just we keep falling into jokes here and there. So there's a little bit of humor in it, and yeah, and then they were nice enough to let us have a video premiere in the same location in the consignment shop. So
I
Wow.
appreciate
up
the
a little-
invite.
a little-
It was a little bit of a tough drive, so that's the only reason why I couldn't make
Oh
it.
yeah, I know.
Coming from
You're
Connecticut,
far
so.
away.
But no, I
Sure.
appreciate it so much. Thanks for the invite.
And I'm even farther away.
Yeah, he's in Philly.
So
We've actually never
Oh, you live in
met.
Philly.
We do it over the internet, which is really cool. We've just been good friends, so it's
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we're hoping.
but we both me and Jebb, we both saw Ken Stringfellow on the same tour. So
So it was pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah. So
excellent.
and actually Eric was there
The one
with
that you
me
met
at the one.
Jebb
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. That's where I met Eric.
That was an amazing show.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I got to play at the end. Really, it was incredible. I still with the brand. You were the one to mention. You keep waking through with the B string broke, and you were like, you just kept going, and I was like, yeah, I couldn't stop now.
Right.
But no, it's awesome.
I told Ken afterwards. I told Ken that's probably the the best show I've seen all year, and I
yeah.
think he was.
I was crying during the
He's
touch. I
happy to
kept
hear
singing
that.
every single song. I was like, it's so good.
Oh my God.
Good
same
album. I'm
here.
actually gonna be doing Down Like Me. I'm gonna do a cover pretty soon, so that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, no, it's so cool to have someone that interesting. Like even though your music is influenced by so many people, it could always change too, which is really cool. And like over time, you could still have the same major influences, but
Yeah,
find new artists and stuff.
I can say a couple of things about that. It definitely has changed for me. I'm always a bit leery. Like, I definitely am sort of solidly in the sort of power pop genre, but the type of power pop has changed a lot from one album to the next. It was a more John Bryan kind of a piano album, the first one that I did.
Yeah.
And so a lot of Mellotron. There's always a lot of Mellotron in my stuff, but a lot of piano. And this new one was my concept for Obsolete, the album, was to make an album that sounded like Magical Mystery Tour / the White Album,
cool.
where everything is panned hard left or hard right or in dead center, you know.
That's awesome.
Which is which I gotta say, kudos for that. That
that's
was
really
a very
cool,
interesting way to present the album.
And I really like the sound. It sounds very good.
Yeah, and I worked with an engineer. In Boston named Ducky Carlisle, who works a lot with Blue and Mike Viola.
Oh,
and
cool. Perfect time.
he was the perfect person to do this because, you know, he has all the gear that the Beatles would have recorded through, and he knows exactly how they did everything. So it was just the two of us geeking out on Beatles stuff all day.
Do you follow Produce Like a Pro on YouTube or?
Oh, I sure do. Yeah.
Oh, good. Because he has a video about, you know,
with the jellyfish ones, I think.
Yeah, about recreating Beatles sounds like, and the stuff that he comes up with is really good. I have fallen down the massive rabbit hole of engineering, audio engineering on YouTube with like.
And now we have the two jellyfish. Roger Joseph Manning Jr.
And then the one about him with Beck and Paramore too, which was really good too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm addicted. We might actually have them all on our show pretty soon. Tim, Roger, and Eric might be doing an episode with us, so we're hoping. It was just a talk with Eric, but he'll ask for us, so it'll be awesome. Because I would love to hear Roger's and if they explain it and Produced Like a Pro. But this leads into our next question. Tyler, want to hit it?
All right. Okay. So going back to the album Obsolete, you've worked with Roger Joseph Manning and Mike Viola. What was that like?
It probably wasn't as exciting as it sounds because we had to work from opposite coasts. So they basically just kindly accepted my offer to do a little guest vocal on my record, and we had some nice back and forth via, you know, emails and stuff. But it wasn't like I got to spend a lot of time with them in a room. So that's unfortunate, but I do go and see Mike anytime he comes to the East Coast, which is not often enough. But he's definitely a huge inspiration on my current songwriting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Me and Tyler are actually working on a current project with two ex-Posies guys, Arthur Roberts and Dave Fox, and John Soda James. And none of us, except John Soda James, I have met, but as of recently, just met him. But it was like kind of a similar thing where we're just emailing back and forth, and it's becoming really cool that you could do that now, I think.
Yeah.
More access to music.
Yeah, everyone has a pretty decent studio in their home these days, so it makes it a lot easier to do stuff like that. Yeah. For
sure. Who would you like to work with? Like who would be your dream collaborator?
Two people spring to mind immediately. One would be John Bryan.
Ooh, I've met him, sort of.
Do you guys know John Bryan?
The Posies had a wedding at Dean and Shelley's private affair, and John Bryan was there, and I didn't know who he was until I walked out. And I am so mad I didn't talk to him. But he got up and played guitar. My dad looked at me, and he goes, "Who is this guy?" And I said, "I don't know." And then we walked out. I looked at my dad, and I go, He was with Jellyfish. My dad just starts going, "You can't know everybody." There were so many cool folks at that wedding. It was really cool.
Yeah. I'm absolutely in love with John Bryan's solo record, Meaningless. And it's one of my favorite albums of all time. And so he'd definitely be one because he plays everything and he's just so unbelievably musical. I know we'd
with the excerpts with Dean Falcone, I believe. Dean Falcone actually lives pretty close to me. That's how I know Dean pretty well too. And I'm actually probably going to go to his house and actually interview him on the time with working with John Bryan and stuff too. So this leads right into that perfectly too, which is awesome.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
I have to get to my second one though.
Perfect. No, definitely.
My second one would be Andy Partridge of Jellyfish. I mean of XTC. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, Andy and Andy.
Yep. Right, they both have Andys. Of course, with the passing of Rick Ocasek, that would obviously be another one, but that's never going to happen. So, yeah, but those are two of my songwriting heroes that I conceivably could meet and work with someday. So those are my fantasy picks.
Well, if we definitely have an episode on the Cars, we'll pull you up if you want to be on again. That'd be definitely an
Sure,
awesome
yeah.
thing. We could always, because we have this thing called band chat, so perfect. That's what we interview guests, and then we move on to a band chat with multiple artists and
Okay,
multiple
I have a
people
lot
being
of
on.
Cars trivia.
Perfect. Well, that would be awesome. I'll definitely do that. Stay tuned for that as well, right, Tyler?
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we'll wrap up with any final say or anything that you wanted to share with the audience as well before we go into the last song. So we'll talk about that as well after. But
Okay, I wanted to mention I was listening to your podcast with Eric Dover, and
Yeah.
you were talking about Zappa. I mean, I
Yes.
love the whole interview, but you're mentioning Zappa, and I was thinking about it. Like Zappa, I never sort of caught the huge Zappa bug, and I don't. It's probably something to do with me, not so much to do. I know he's an amazing musician,
Yeah.
but the weirdness of it never quite grabbed me. But it made me, when you were mentioning it, it made me think about the really weird stuff that I do like now. That's, I think, almost similar. And those would be bands like Sparks. I don't know if you know Sparks.
Oh yeah,
Check them out.
Sparks.
I'll have
Yeah,
to check them out.
They're
Tyler.
wonderfully weird.
God, they have a lot. They have a lot of good songs. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll have
and
to check 'em
another
out.
one is not many people know this, but 10cc. Like if you dig into their
They're more than just
their
the one
record
hit.
career.
Oh yeah,
my,
yeah.
my friend Owen, who's on a record, we're working on an album right now that's very 60s themed, and it's called Beachy Winter for Jebb and the Riots. And he has got me into 10cc for like influencing and stuff, so I really do enjoy them now.
Oh, great,
Yeah,
great.
my favorite 10cc song, Rubber Bullets.
There you go.
Okay, yes,
Such a
yeah.
good one.
I'm a really huge fan of the album Sheet Music that has
I'll have to
in
check that one out.
particular, it has a song called "We're the Worst Band in the World." It's really funny.
Perfect.
So yeah, keep listening to 10cc.
I will
That's
definitely.
great.
I'm getting into them now. I got him into Teenage Fan Club, so his return was 10cc. So I'm like, all right,
Oh,
I'll do it.
nice.
And
And
yeah,
I've gotten Jebb
got me
into
into
God
Jellyfish.
knows how many bands.
You got me into Jellyfish. Without you, I
I
wouldn't have
did,
known who
yeah.
Jellyfish was, and I don't think I would have known who Eric Dover was. So thank you.
Awesome.
So
Well, I
it
think
was
it's
a-
wonderful that you guys have so many.
Yeah.
You're like sponges for all this music. It's great.
Well, that's why
Yeah,
we
it's
do this.
amazing.
We like it's for us too, right? It's for us to absorb and talk to the artists, but it's also for the artists themselves who may not get. It's another avenue for you guys to get out there, which is amazing. But it's
Oh, for
us.
sure,
It's
yeah.
definitely it's definitely mind sponging. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. If I made the wrong step on the wrong path, I would not be here talking
Yeah,
about
exactly.
these kinds of bands today. It's
It's crazy that we met
such a
over a
crazy thing to
YouTube
think about,
comment.
Yeah.
Because you posted
Yeah.
one of the Posies videos and they go, "Hey, I don't have this audio. Could we talk sometime?" And then you're like, "Sure."
Oh,
And
God,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, from then on, from that box set. So it's really cool that. And then to go to Ken's show in Rhode Island when I was supposed to go to the New York one. So I think things happen for a reason.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think they definitely do. But nah, this is a pleasure to have you on, Eric. There was also. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, this last song I picked was what I sent. Oh, Scratch Ticket. I love that song, and that's what we're gonna end with on this. So what did that come about? You had a music video for that as well, and it was in a school, correct?
Oh, actually, yeah, the one that was in a school was
To all you guys, that's
sort of
right.
a different one. That's
Yeah.
To all you guys. Yeah.
You're welcome to talk about that as
Um,
well. We'll do that
but,
both of those, but Scratch Ticket will be what we're ending with. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know you mentioned Scratch Ticket earlier. Yeah, that was that song just arose out of some financial problems.
Oh, wow.
And I think everyone goes through
Oh, yeah.
from time to time.
Don't
And
we
so
all?
it's-
Yeah.
It's basically a song about the desperation that comes with being broke when you're really down in it. It feels like your whole world's collapsing in on itself, and so it's a little bit of comedy in it as well. I've got just enough for two of you and beer.
I love it.
So it's basically sinking all your hopes on a last scratch ticket.
Yeah,
And
And then I was talking about all you guys. That's right, because I had the two separate things here. Because I had the one where I was saying that song hit deep with me as well. And to all you guys, which has the music video you said, which was in the school, which would love to hear about, and I think the podcast too, was like, how did you go about asking the school to be able to the videotape inside and all that?
Oh yeah. Okay. So to all you guys is about school bullying basically, and just something I went through when I was in grade school, and so there's a bit of personal experience thrown in there, but it's also just about everyone who is bullied and like what goes through the mind of the bully, is sort of a character study of a bully.
Oh, wow.
So I asked a school if, I picked a school that had a bullying prevention program, and I said, hey, I basically want to come in and film a video where I make a bunch of kids bully each other all day. And and for some reason they said yes, and they even got me a bunch of students to do it. So it was quite a
That's interesting.
procedure. But
yeah.
my father's a commercial photographer and videographer, so he jumped in with me, and we
awesome.
we shot it together, and it was a really crazy experience, and the video came out pretty cool. So I've heard from some people who were bullied. People have reached out to me and to tell me that the lyrics meant a lot to them. So that's like one of those songs.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, as I listened to stuff in order, and I was thinking like 2 songs. I wanted to definitely get something for your newer stuff. Obsolete's the newest one, and then I just had the video, so it was perfect timing. But I started going through, and I wanted to kind of because that one would be perfect too as well. But I was listening to it, and it just hit hard because I've been going through some stuff myself, and I think Tyler as well, and it just really hit hard that's why we do this. We do this to inspire the youth to change the world, because we really need to have a change. It needs to happen. It might not happen in lifetime of mine, but at least it could set us foot forward to say, hey, it's I was bullied all my life, so recently came out and just started making music. So it's great to hear from someone else that's a musician that had similar, and that goes back to the Frank Zappa comment you meant. I actually we interviewed Frank Zappa's sister, and she brought up in the book that she wrote that Frank was a shut-in most of his life, and when he was younger and frustrated that he couldn't have friends and stuff and couldn't figure it out, but he made such amazing music, and I started crying. I was like, that is me. So I'm glad that there's musicians out there that we're not alone. So anybody that's struggling, his music is definitely a really good healing force.
Yeah, there's always a way out, and a lot of people find it through music, and that's great. That's
perfect.
one of the ways. Yeah.
So we'll wrap up here, Eric. If you had anything left to say, anything more, you're more than welcome to.
Not really, but I just enjoyed talking to you both, and
thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're doing great work, so keep it up.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'll keep you up to date with.
And thank you for joining us.
What's going on with the podcast? And hopefully, if we have that Cars episode, that'd be perfect to have you on. And I'll send you some more of the music covers that I'm doing, because I definitely appreciate the advice. And Tyler will be doing some drums on your Tyler drums.
Yeah. And if you're ever in Philly, let me know. I would love to, check out one of your shows or just hang out.
If I get there, I'll let you know.
Perfect. Now you got a goal, right? All right, everybody. Bye, everybody.